All right, and welcome to this week's edition of Video Guys Live. Today's show, we're focusing on education, and we're focusing on the fact that there's a lot of year-end budget money and new budget money coming around. So we want to talk about how you can use that money for IT and stuff like that. But before we get into the educational part of the show, I want to remind everyone why, we do educational shows so often. And one of the big reasons is that I happen to serve on our local Board of Education. So I'm very familiar with public education, how public education is funded, the challenges facing public education, and also how important using technology in your school is. And there's no replacement for teachers, but give teachers the best tools possible, and technology, and the video technology you can see on today's show is a great way to really unleash the creativity and the capabilities of your staff, and also build better community bonds and homeschool connections. So without further delay, because we got a little late started, we're gonna go right into the show. So let's start run the graphic, let's start the show. And we're back. Video Guys, 8 tips for your school's next investment in production technology. Today's show all about education and how you can use your IT dollars for video to go further and to enhance the remote learning and the education and the homeschool connection that's going on in your schools. Guys, I want to apologize. I might turn my head and do this every now and then. That's because I've got a little frog in my throat, cough hack thing going on, and I don't want to blow the speakers out and get everyone upset. So I may have to pause a little more than I normally do, but let's get on with the show. All right. One of the things that I've been using is like a guiding kind of mantra for not just our business, but our industry and where the world's going, is that in 2020, schools in the whole world had to just make remote learning and remote streaming work. Then in 2021, we made it look better, work better, and easy to do. Well, in 2022, we can make it more engaging, collaborative, and powerful. And today, we're going to go into some examples about how you can do that with the current technology that's out there, and how you can use certain tools that we're going to show you to enhance what you're already doing. Before we do that, I wanted to stress public educators, schools, universities, don't miss out on the money. There was a ton of federal money put into education over the past 2 or 3 years. Money is still coming in. That money can be spent on technology, specifically video technology. And I want to remind you that video technology is more than remote learning. You can use video to live stream sports performances, meetings, events, and staff development. And what do we mean by that? What are some of the things you can do? You can use PTZ cameras for remote learning and for more than just that. You can use encoders to go into a CMS system. We'll talk about that. There's mobile streaming solutions you can take out in a field or an area that you might not have Wi-Fi in your district, a high bandwidth. And also production studios are a great way to enhance your educational offerings when it comes to journalism, communications, and the arts. So what is one of the things, let's bring this up full screen. You can use video to build the homeschool connection, reach the community, alumni, and other sports. So what do I mean by that? I mean stuff like sports production, student performances, school announcements, social media, staff development, Board of Ed meetings, and other community events that you can do to reach out with the people in your school. Video is one of those things that I think people often forget what video is really about and how powerful it is. And if a picture could say 1,000 words, I'm going to say that video could say 1,000,000 words. And what I mean by that is video is more engaging, especially a video on social media. Any videos you create in the school environment can be repurposed for social media, for reviews, for highlight videos. It's just so powerful what you can use with video. If you're not using video as part of your educational process, you're missing out on a real useful tool. The other thing that I think is important to note is that not just should teachers be using video, but video is a great 21st century skill that your students can learn. And what do I mean by that? Storytelling and content creation using video, video production, live streaming, video editing, post-production, video for social media. Folks, think about this. Think about the world we're in today. If William Shakespeare came back today, what would he be doing? He'd be probably the most sought-after writer on Netflix. He'd be a YouTube influencer, or he'd have, 10 million viewers on TikTok. Why? Because although we all think of William Shakespeare as the greatest writer of all time, he He wrote plays, he wrote entertainment. So video is a way to connect with and engage with your audience, and I think it's important to get your kids those skills, not to replace writing, not to replace other things, but to complement it as a whole nother level of communication, of expressing your thoughts, of debate, of critical reasoning, of thinking outside the box. Video is a great tool to bring to your students, so we're going to give you some examples of that with our 8 tips. So let's start right number 1 with our investment tip number 1. PTZ Cameras and Z Cameras. They're easy to add, more cameras create better productions. What do we mean by that? If you have one camera in your classroom or your auditoriums, that's fantastic, but in a bigger space, using multiple cameras is even better. And you know, we do multiple cameras here. So I have the first camera that's over here, then I turn over to this camera, you know, when I want to make a little bit more of a point on a shot, then I turn back over here. Well, camera angles are a way that you can engage your audience better. And if you have teachers in a lecture center, a large auditorium, large classroom, using multiple camera angles is going to be a great thing. Also, one of the things that we're seeing some schools do, which is really cool, and that is they're creating dedicated remote teaching rooms. Maybe they have a small room, or it used to be a utility closet where they've got some space. 10 by 10, 8 by 10, they'll paint a wall green, another wall, they'll put up some materials and stuff, they'll put a PTZ camera in there, and they'll allow their teachers to go on there to record lessons or to stream lessons or to do staff development. So very cool stuff in those rooms. Just like corporations have what they call Zoom rooms or AV conference rooms, you can have your own remote production room. Doesn't cost a lot, it's low cost, and like I said, you can use that for live or for recording and then editing things that your staff can work on. And it's also cool because you can make that room available to your students to create their own video projects as part of your curriculum. Like I said, one of the big advantages of PTZ cameras is, I didn't say this, but I'm going to say it now, is they don't require a camera operator. So you can have a PTZ camera that's in a room that's controlled by a remote with a couple of presets. It can be controlled by your production studio software, like we control our cameras right directly from our TriCaster. Or even cooler, you can get a controller like the one over here, which we're going to go into a little bit more, and then also network cameras using NDI technology can be installed in your school using just standard gigabit Ethernet, and now every camera in the school can be seen by every NDI device, which allows you to open up a whole wide world of educational opportunities in your buildings. Tip number 2, I hinted at it before, and that is get a PTZ controller. I'm going to pick this up and bring it over to this camera if we can. A PTZ controller, this is the Super Joy from PTZ Optics. An example, a PTZ controller is great if you have 2 or more cameras to control. And if you're doing 3 or 4 cameras in a setting, a single person on this can be a substitute for 3 or 4 camera people. This is one of the ones we have. We have several PTZ controllers available. If you've already got a PTZ camera and you're planning on adding some more, definitely think about a controller as something to add. Next is really one of those things if you remember in the beginning, I said in 2022, we make things more powerful. How do we make them more powerful? One of the ways we do that is by making them automated. And one of the coolest automation things we can do is auto tracking for PTZ cameras. Auto tracking is where the camera follows you as the talent automatically. Now there's many different degrees of auto tracking, but we have auto tracking starting with like our Huddle Cam HD Simple Track for $1,500. All of our bird dog cameras now come with a free utility where as long as you have a computer on the network, you can do auto tracking. And then Panasonic has auto tracking software. And then we have a company called MRMC that is Polymotion Chat Pro, which is like auto tracking on steroids. It'll track people based on not only their face, but their arms, and it takes an AI that takes into account which way they're leaning and where they're going. And with that, you can actually auto track multiple people on the same stage or the same lecture center at the same time. It's just really cool stuff. And if you're thinking about your teachers want to be able to not just sit in front of a screen, but be able to move around and walk and talk and do stuff, you know, auto tracking is a great tool as a way to allow them to do that. So tip number 3, look at auto tracking. Even if you put it on one camera to start, it's a great thing to learn. I'm telling you, once you give a teacher the chance to stand up and walk around a room where they're auto tracked, they're going to be that much more comfortable in front of the camera. They're going to be that much more comfortable recording their lessons, either for live streaming or for future lessons. Because one of the things that really I think we all learned from the pandemic, we're learning from technology, is a great lesson shouldn't be left to just the people who are fortunate enough to be in that classroom with that teacher. What do I mean by that? Let's say you've got a 3rd or 4th grade teacher who just does a great unit on fractions. Why not have that unit be able to share with all your other 3rd and 4th grade classes in your district or with other districts? across the country, across the globe. You know, if you've got a great lesson and a great teacher, why not share it? Investment tip number 4 is really more for universities and big high school systems, and that is to get an LMS or a CMS with an integrated hardware controllers. Now, these systems are by Kaltura, Panopta, UJA, and others coming up, and basically, if you're a college or university that's using them, what we're telling you is now's a great time to buy some more encoders to go with them, and we have encoders from Epiphan, Matrox, and NewTek, but also if you're a school system that's ahead of the curve, university, local college, community college, and you're producing a ton of video content from multiple teachers and professors, you need to organize that content, you need to make it available, you know, afterwards, and you also need the ability to maybe automate. If you've got a certain lecture center as a university or college where you're going to have teachers always streaming from, well, you can automate that to automatically come on and come off. So very cool stuff. NewTek just introduced a brand new product called CaptureCast NDI, which means if you've got an NDI network, we'll get to that a little bit more in the end, and you're networked with NDI, you can actually add this to your school system, your local network, and now all your feeds can be managed through your CMS, through NDI native, through fully capturing with this one server. So very cool for people, you know, doing Panopto, you know, YouTube, Kaltura. Just a great way to organize and get everything working and automated once again. Investment tip number 5. Go mobile. What do I mean by that? Maybe you don't have Wi-Fi out on your fields, but that doesn't mean you can't stream from your playing fields. Doesn't mean you can't have your graduation on the field and stream it either. We've got a couple of ways to do that. Now, one of the things that's really cool is this is the YOLO Live YOLO Box Mini at $6.99. They now have 3 products in their product line. They have the Mini, the YOLO Box OG or the YOLO Box, and the Pro. And the Mini is just basically a streaming encoder and recorder, whereas the YOLO Box and YOLO Box Pro adds switching, but also with these devices you could add lower thirds and scoreboards and things like that. So it's a really cool way to go with the YOLO Box stuff to be remote switching. It's also really exciting because this is something you let the kids take out into a field or something to do interviews, to go around town, to build that community relationship. Maybe you go talk to the mayor and get him to interview about the school, or maybe it's a local shop that's opening up that's donating money to the school or what have you. Lots of good stuff. And then if you're really looking for a professional way to stream live from mobile, LiveView Solo. LiveView Solo uses cellular bonding through their LRT cloud, which allows you to take 2 cellular modems and have that signal go up into the cloud and be bonded together through cellular technology. And then when it's bonded together, what it means basically is you can take an HD video pipe with you wherever you go. You're always assured to have the pipeline you need. It'll cellular bond, not just the cellular bond, but you can also cellular bond it. You can bond in as well Wi-Fi and Ethernet. It means you always have your bandwidth wherever you go. So if you're a school system, a high school, or maybe a university that has to get some video in some places that aren't normal places, that don't have good connectivity, LiveView Solo works great. And also you can take the output of any video mixer and feed it into the Solo via HDMI or the Big Brother Solo with SDI. And now you can take your production with multiple cameras and feed it into the Solo. Very cool. We also have people using Solo and YOLO boxes together to be able to get higher bandwidth streaming while also getting all of the functionality of the YOLO box. Tip number 6. Upgrade your video production system for multi-camera productions, remote guests, and even REMI remote workflows. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about taking your system that maybe putting in a new TV studio or a new sports studio for your school if you're into sports and stuff like that. Get a NewTek TriCast or Epiphan Pearl or a Telestream RCast 3 or one of the Panasonic products. So let's take a look at some of those video production solutions that we offer here at Video Guys. And there's various different levels. So let's take a look. Starting with the TriCasters. The TriCasters start with the TriCaster Mini 4K at under 10 grand, $89.95. Then we have the TriCaster TC1, TC1 Pro, and TC2 Elite on their more professional level products. Now, TriCasters are phenomenal products, but I will tell you, if you're going to get a TriCaster, you may want to think about getting it from a local dealer, especially if it's like a TC1 Pro or an Elite, who can help you not only install it and commission it, but actually give you some training to get started on it, because the TriCaster is a product that requires some level of training. Now, the good news is that New Tech has this great thing called Video University, and as an educational facility, be it a high school, a college, or a school district, you can download those lessons for free to learn, and they're very, very useful lessons. But if you're going to get involved with the TriCaster, which we love, we use the TriCaster here, just be prepared. This is a bit of a learning curve. It's not something you can put a student or a volunteer in front of without a lot of training. Now, we also offer the Wirecast gear solutions, and Wirecast is coming out with their brand new Gear 3 solutions, and basically they're all under 10 grand. For HD, we have the HDMI and the SDI starting at $7,500, $7,995, or if you're going to go to 4K, you can get 4K for $94.95 or $99.95. Now, one of the real cool things about Wirecast is the Wirecast software is the same software that's on a gear. That's the same software you can buy as Wirecast Pro, Wirecast Studio. It's the same software you can download on a trial basis to learn and mess around with. So for schools, Wirecast is a little bit easier to get into because you don't have to invest in a big TriCast to get started with Wirecast, but you can also use the individual seats of Wirecast to teach the kids on a laptop or something so that when they get on the gear, they're really ready to roll. We also have the Epiphan Pearl products. Now, this product right here is the Pearl Nano, and I love the Pearls. Why? Because they're really video live streaming production appliances. Now, the Nano is a single one in, one out, one stream at a time product. What I really love about it is you can put some presets in there. So as a teacher, I can have a preset that's got me on 1/3 tight with the PowerPoint production next to me, let's say, or my lesson or what I'm doing. The Pearl Mini is a robust switcher that gives you 2 inputs and 2 outputs, so you can stream, mix 2 cameras and stream to 2 different sources, 2 different CDNs, your own, any RTMP stream, could be your school or what have you. And the Epiphan Pearl 2 is the big brother, which also has 4K capabilities, $74.99, a little more expensive, more inputs, more outputs. And one of the cool things about the Pearls is the Pearls all support their own cloud as well as SRT. Now, the Epiphan Pearl Cloud can be used to schedule automatically on, off, start, stop, record, and stream for these devices if you're a school and a university system, but also they're coming out with actual cloud REMI workflows where you can mix and add graphics and do all kinds of cool stuff with multiple Pearls feeding into the cloud. So cool stuff from our friends over at Epiphan. Tip number 7, add instant replay and graphic overlays. If you're doing sports, that's how you take your sports productions up to 11. That's the expiration I always used to like to use from the movie Spinal Tap, not a scale of 1 to 10, 11. And there are some really affordable, easy to use streaming instant replay solutions. Now you have, from New Tech, you have the 3Play. We have the Simply Live R8 replay solution, which is really cool because it's easy to use where you can do replay and mixing. And then Grass Valley, for those bigger schools, has a new AMP product where you can actually have someone remotely doing instant replay to your productions. That's a much more higher end complex solution. But on the low end side, we also have, it's not here, but Roland's got a brand new unit as well. I'm sorry that slide kind of fell out of the production, but maybe we could throw that slide up when we do it in post. Tip number 8, NDI. We love NDI. What is NDI? NDI is a network device interface that allows you to pass video over standard GigE Ethernet, but in addition to video, you also get the command and control codes. It's a 2-way communication. So the video is going one way down the pipe, command and control is going the other way. This means that NDI devices on your network can all be able to see each other, control each other, share video with each other, pass video back and forth. It's very cool. It lets you expand and scale your video capabilities within your entire high school system, your building, your university, whatever's your local area network. You can even expand it beyond the local network using public internet and NDI bridge, but it's a super cool technology. And if you're a school that's been into video production and streaming for a while now, the next step, the next logical step you should be looking at is going towards NDI and actually taking advantage of the technology that it gives you and the scalability. All right, so that brings you today's show. I wanted to wrap up today's show in 15 minutes. I went a little bit longer, and I apologize for that, but I just want to run down my summary, 8 tips for your school, your district, your college, your university, 8 tips to get the most out of your IT investment for video. And reminder, there's still a ton of federal and state money out there for these programs. And if you have the ability to get grants as well, go after that video IT money because it's here now. And a year or 2 from now, there's a very good chance that money won't be available. So investing in technology as a one-shot investment is a perfect thing to do when you're get a windfall surplus of extra funds available. And like I said, all the products you see here that we sell for IT and video are available under most of these federal and state programs. So what do we have? Add more cameras, both PTZ cameras and Z cams. Add a PTZ controller. Add auto tracking. Add a CMS with integrated encoders. Go mobile, get that video from wherever you are. Upgrade your production system, and remember, with that upgraded system, let the kids learn how to use it. It's a life skill that they will be able to take with them into a career right out of college or into a college program. Add an instant replay system and upgrade with NDI. So that's our show, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Video Guys Tips for Schools and Education. As I've mentioned before, not only am I the president of Video Guys, Gary Batan, but I'm also on my local Plainview Old Bethpage School Board. So I do have a big place in my heart for public education. It means a lot to me, and I want to see that you guys get the most out of those IT technology dollars. So by all means, take a look at these tips, pass them on, give us a call. If you need help with quotes and things like that, we can do that for you. And the other thing we can do with you is we can get creative. So if you want to buy stuff that you want to have some money left for the year-end budget, and then some of the stuff for the upcoming budget, we can work that out, split the stuff into a couple of invoices, ship the one the end of June, the other one in early July, and now you've actually taken 2 budget years worth of money and put it together to maybe get a bigger investment, a bigger buy, something like that. So we're always here to work with you, and if you are a public school or a university, you know, we will give you the ability to purchase under a purchase order. That's something we welcome here at Video Guys. So this was Gary from Video Guys. I hope you found today's lecture on 8 tips for your school's investments in video production useful. Tune in every Tuesday at 3 p.m. to our show. Like us on Facebook, share our videos, go to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and then you'll know when our video is coming on. So this is Gary from Video Guys. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Video Guys is available Monday through Friday. Give us a call at 1-800-323-2325. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Instagram to stay connected with all of our updates. And you can like us on Facebook. Keep an eye out for our live videos, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.